Hello, Biodiversity team. I am Corazon De Jesus. You may call me Che, the Acting Programs Director of the ACB. Welcome to another episode of BiodiversiTalks, where we have conversations on biodiversity conservation with different nature advocates in the ASEAN region. Today, we are privileged to be joined by two renowned conservation scientists and sustainable financing specialists from Malaysia. They are co-founders of a conservation company called Nature Based Solutions Sdn. Their company, which is based in Malaysia, focuses on developing solutions for nature conservation since 2020. Friends, come and join us for a conversation with Dr. Reuben Clements and Dr. Tajang Jinggut.
Hi, my name is Reuben. I am from Singapore originally, but moved to Kuala Lumpur 19 years ago. I moved to Malaysia because of the wildlife and biodiversity. And I was 20 when I went to Malaysia, fell in love with rainforests, went back to Singapore, changed my degree from engineering to biology. So I really became a biologist early on and decided to pursue a career in conservation because when I was doing research on snails, I saw all the habitats disappearing. They were limestone casts, they were being mined for cement. So I thought, well, I wanted to focus on trying to see how we can protect these threatened ecosystems. So I became a conservation scientist. Right now, I am with London Zoo, or ZSL, the Zoological Society of London, as well as Tajang and I, we co-founded an organization called Nature Based Solutions from Malaysia. Tajang will explain what Nature Based Solutions does, but we have been doing conservation for, cumulatively, I guess, for over 20 years now.
Yep, so my name is Tajang Jinggut. So we're both from Nature Based Solutions, Malaysian. Our company is based in Malaysia. And what we do at Nature Based Solutions, or NBS, is we help set up and establish new protected areas, forest conservation projects, and recently forest restoration project. We've worked mainly in Malaysia for the last 5 years with NBS, but our track record has been primarily working in Malaysia. I think Reuben worked on tiger habitats. I work mainly on forest restoration, about 10, 15, 20 years of experience in the field. Like I said, we help set up new projects, help improve existing projects. Although we do work in conservation, we do see an increase in the importance of working with local communities living inside and outside of national parks, protected areas, important ecosystems. And really at NBS, our goal is to make sure projects are set up well, communities coexist well with these areas. But the overarching umbrella of us at NBS is we want to make sure there's sustainable financing to support the work on the ground, to make sure there's enforcement, protection, livelihood projects, so everyone can coexist together.
So how I got into biodiversity conservation was when I was young in Singapore. I kept going to the beaches because my parents brought me to the beach, and I found all these interesting mollusks in the sand, and I started beach combing. And I started collecting shells, got curious about naming the shells, found the Latin names, and became interested in taxonomy and diversity of snails. Started with the marine environment, and then I went to the land. And it was when I went to the land where I noticed a lot more forests being cleared, and I decided, well, I wanted to focus on conservation biology. And from snails, I then went on to tigers because my first job was with WWF, and I was tasked to manage a group of biologists trying to monitor population trends, and also we're trying to address the poaching of tigers. So really grew from a small animal to a big one, and I think that gave me a better perspective on how important landscapes are. And right now what we're doing at Nature Based Solutions is really landscape level projects, making sure that whatever we do is helping wildlife, but also people living in and around them.
Yeah, maybe similar as well, origin story. So growing up, I spent a lot of time in the Longhouse. So I'm from Sarawak, Borneo. So my grandparents lived in the Longhouse, upriver. So I thought growing up was normal to spend your holidays in the forest, playing in the forest and the river. But as I grew older, I realized it was not a normal thing to spend so much time as a child in the wild jungles of Borneo. So when I did my undergrad, I pursued a lot of field-based courses, and I met my supervisor then, who got me into fieldwork, into freshwater ecology, which led to my PhD, where I spent 3 to 5 years looking at freshwater ecosystems. But at the same time, she also taught us about the threats to biodiversity, land use change in Malaysia, for example, in Southeast Asia, huge issue. So that's when when I got into conservation. Basically, my supervisor, Dr. Catherine Yu, told us, if you are an ecologist, you have a responsibility to protect the species that you're working on and to protect ecosystems. So I think that started my journey in conservation. So academia, and then joined NGO world, and then eventually we started our own company to focus on forest conservation. My dream goals for Nature Based Solutions and conservation, I do want to see more community-led initiatives in Southeast Asia. One of the maybe legacy issues is NGOs would come in, spend a couple of years, and then leave, and the project would collapse in the absence of NGOs. So what I do want to see in Southeast Asia is more projects led and designed by a local community, whether it's conservation or forest protection, within a self-sustainable financing model. So we do try to develop these types of projects in NBS, and moving forward, if we can, we want to see kind of the model that we've done in the project where we're involved in replicated elsewhere. We're a strong promoter of locally led community conservation efforts.
I would like to, connect the dots more, trying to matchmake people and bring funders to fund good projects, and also trying to showcase good projects to donors. So I'm trying to be in that space where just bringing people together and making things happen. I think given our experience over the years, we've got a good network of funders, and we know the who's who in conservation in Malaysia, but we're going to branch out more to ASEAN, because we've been doing most of our work in Malaysia, but this opportunity the ACB provided has allowed us to spread our wings, and we are hoping to just be the catalyst in the region to connect more of these donors, funders, and to the right projects. As Tajang mentioned, funding long-term community efforts on the ground, because ultimately, if they're going to be the stewards of the forest, we really need to invest in such projects. Well, my advice really, try to stay away from your phones. Try to get more into nature. There's a lot of beauty out there, and I think a lot of us are just so glued to our phones. We forget that there's a lot of beauty out there. And I think how we go into conservation is just being better connected to nature. And if you lose that connection, I'm worried that we won't see enough of these young conservationists joining the field. So I would really love to see more young people, again with their support from their parents, to volunteer. Right? If you can find an NGO in your country that you can volunteer, if you like it, great. If you don't, at least you try it, right? But just getting out there from your comfort zone and taking the chance, getting dirty, learning about what it's like in conservation, and hopefully, more of you can join the cause.
Yep. For young conservationists, I guess if I could go back in time and give myself advice, I would network more. Don't be afraid to reach out to your local NGOs, big NGOs, tell them you want to volunteer some time. It's a really good way to kind of learn and expose yourself to the industry, because it may or may not be for you. We've also seen a lot of people interested in conservation, but maybe once exposed to the realities of it, it is a very challenging industry. It's a lot of field work. It's also an uphill battle. There's definitely more defeats than wins. So it's something that you need to grow and learn to accept as you grow into a experienced conservationist. But definitely if you're young, spend time, reach out, don't be afraid, nothing to lose, to gain free experience. And if you really like it, again, don't be afraid to reach out and network. Most people in conservation are more than happy to open their doors, offer their advice and mentorship. So the first step is always the hardest, but you have to take it yourself. And the last one is make sure you read extensively. I think it's nice to go out to the field and walk and hike, but an important component of being a good biologist, ecologist, conservationist is being well read. what has been done before, what failed, what succeeded, not just where you're from but around the world, will help inform the work that you do as a conservationist. So again, the resources are all there, books are there, it's free nowadays, mentorship is always available to those who are interested. So that's all the advice I have, I think.
I'm Reuben,
And I'm Tajang.
and we are ASEAN Biodiversity.
There you have it, Biodiversity team. That was Dr. Reuben and Dr. Tajang, two very prominent conservation scientists from Malaysia. We hope you learned something from what they shared, especially our young viewers out there. I believe they shared very important points. One is staying away from our mobile devices and trying to connect more into nature, volunteering to a local NGO, and sharing your talents to acquire more experience. Lastly, try to read more books to know more about the success stories in conservation in your community and even outside your country, especially in ASEAN. Before we end, I would like to thank Che for being my co-host in this episode. It was a pleasure to have you. To our viewers, we would like to invite you to like and share and follow our social media channels that are flashed on your screen. We hope to see you in our next episode. Bye!